On the morning of December 1, 1948, two people out for a walk found a man lying against a seawall on Somerton Beach in Adelaide, Australia. At first, they assumed he was simply asleep, or perhaps drunk. He wasn't. He was dead, dressed in a neatly pressed suit and polished shoes, strange attire for a warm summer evening on an Australian beach. He carried no wallet, no identification, and every single label had been carefully removed from his clothing. More than 75 years later, despite one of the most thorough investigations in Australian history, nobody has ever definitively solved who this man was, or how he died. Witnesses who had seen him the evening before recalled odd details. One couple remembered him raising his arm, as if trying, unsuccessfully, to light a cigarette. Another remembered him seeming unbothered by mosquitoes swarming his face, as though he were too drunk or too far gone to notice. He was in his 40s, clean-shaven, physically fit, with no obvious signs of violence or struggle. A half-smoked cigarette sat resting on the lapel of his coat, as if it had simply fallen there. The autopsy found nothing conclusive. His organs showed some signs of congestion, consistent with poisoning, but toxicology testing in 1948 was limited, and no specific poison was ever identified. The coroner was left with no choice but to record the cause of death as unknown, an almost unheard-of outcome for a formal inquest. Investigators searched for anything that might identify him. They found his suitcase, unclaimed, at the Adelaide railway station, containing ordinary clothes and a few tools, but again, every clothing label had been meticulously removed. It was as if someone had gone out of their way to erase any trace of who this man was. For months, the case sat cold. Then, during a more thorough second examination of his clothing, investigators discovered something previous searches had missed: a tiny pocket, sewn discreetly into the waistband of his trousers, built specifically to hide something small, like a watch, or in this case, a scrap of paper. Rolled tightly inside was a small piece of paper with two words printed on it: Tamám Shud. Persian for "it is ended," or "it is finished." The phrase was traced to a rare edition of the Rubaiyat of Omar Khayyam, a 12th-century Persian poetry collection about living fully and dying without regret. Police made a public appeal, and remarkably, the exact copy the page had been torn from turned up tossed in the back seat of an unlocked car parked just blocks from the beach. Inside the back cover, detectives found something far stranger than the missing page: faint pencil indentations of handwriting, arranged in 5 short lines of jumbled capital letters. It looked unmistakably like a code. That code has never been broken. Professional cryptographers, amateur codebreakers, intelligence analysts, and hobbyists worldwide have spent over 70 years trying. Some believe it's a genuine cipher, possibly connected to Cold War-era espionage. After all, Adelaide was home to a significant naval base, and the case unfolded right as tensions between global superpowers were escalating. The clean, deliberate way the body was positioned, combined with the total absence of identification, struck many investigators as hallmarks of intelligence work rather than an ordinary death. Others believe the code may simply be shorthand notes, or even the scrawled attempt of someone drunk or unwell, not a code at all, just meaningless fragments that only look significant in hindsight. A one-time pad cipher, the kind actual spies used during that era, would be theoretically unbreakable without the matching key, meaning if this was espionage-related, the message may be permanently unsolvable, no matter how sophisticated modern code-breaking becomes. Inside that same book, investigators found something else: a local phone number, faintly indented into the cover. It led them to a young nurse living just streets from where the body was found, a woman named Jessica Thompson. When questioned, she denied ever knowing the man. But according to police who were present, when she was later shown a plaster cast of his face, she appeared to nearly faint on the spot. The mystery deepened decades later. Thompson's daughter revealed in interviews that her mother had once hinted she knew exactly who the Somerton Man was, but always refused to elaborate. Stranger still, Thompson admitted to being fluent in Russian, a skill she never explained learning. Her family has since speculated she may have had a connection to intelligence work, or even to the dead man himself, romantically. Her son, born about a year after the Somerton Man died, reportedly shared a rare genetic ear trait with the identified body, fueling decades of theories about a hidden relationship, and even a possible secret child. For over 70 years, the identity of the Somerton Man himself remained completely unknown. Theories ranged from Cold War spy to jilted lover to a man who simply wanted to disappear and start over. In 2021, after decades of legal battles and public campaigning by amateur researchers, authorities finally agreed to exhume his body from its Adelaide grave, hoping modern forensic techniques could extract usable DNA, something that had been impossible with the limited science available in 1948. Then, in 2022, using that DNA alongside genetic genealogy, comparing it against public family tree databases, the same method used to catch the Golden State Killer in the United States, a professor and a genealogist announced they had likely identified him, an electrical engineer from Melbourne named Carl Webb. Australian police have since supported the identification. But even with a probable name attached, the central mysteries remain completely unsolved. Why were his clothing labels removed? What did the code actually say? And what really killed him on that beach? The mystery has never faded from public fascination. Adelaide's local police still receive letters and theories from amateur investigators around the world decades later. The case has inspired true crime books, documentaries, and an entire community of hobbyist cryptographers who continue attempting to crack the 5 lines of code, treating it almost like an open scientific challenge. Some have proposed the letters are simply the first initials of words in a memorized phrase or poem, a common technique for basic personal ciphers of that era, but no proposed solution has ever been verified or widely accepted by professional cryptanalysts. To this day, the Tamám Shud case is considered one of the most perplexing unsolved mysteries in the world, a story with a probable name, but no real ending. Fittingly, the very last clue he left behind was a page torn from a poem meaning "it is finished." Nobody has ever been able to say for certain what, exactly, was finished that night. If you were investigating this case, what's your theory on the code? Let me know in the comments below. Subscribe for more real unsolved cases every week. This has been the Cold Case Files. Thanks for watching.